So we talk a lot about Percy Jackson here on the channel because, well, we're a Percy Jackson channel. But if we're being honest with ourselves, our Greek myth nerdiness goes so much further beyond than that. I personally love expanding the mythos beyond just Percy Jackson, like this book of Greek myths, or the series by Madeline Miller with Circe and the Song of Achilles. But even more than that, I love expanding it into the medium of musicals. Some of you may have heard of the little musical that's gone around on TikTok for a bit called Epic the Musical by Jorge Rivera Herons. Not joking, this musical is amazing, and I ended up in the 1% of listeners for it on Spotify last year for the Spotify Wrapped, so that was pretty cool. One of the things that Mr. Rivera Herons, a lot of people call him Jorge, it's like a little video essay, so I want to be respectful, I'll be calling him Mr. Rivera Herons. But one of the things that he does fantastically is doubling up the meaning of things and adding puns into Epic that people may not catch on their first listen, or at all if they don't know the fundamental stories that the musical is based upon. I could talk all day about this musical, but for this video specifically, we wanted to focus on a singular line all the way in the last act. In the challenge, Penelope is lamenting about feeling like she's out of time to wait for Odysseus, and that she has to take drastic action as the suitors in the palace are getting restless and on the verge of attacking her and her son Telemachus. The challenge in question is stringing Odysseus's bow and shooting through 12 axes. As she presents this to the suitors, she sings the line, "'Cause I'd rather die than grow old without the best of you." And while I'm not sure if this has been confirmed, I believe that this is a reference to the title The Best of the Greeks, or The Best of the Achaeans, as it appears in the original text by Homer. So what does that title actually mean? It's first used in the Iliad to describe Achilles. In this, it means that Achilles is the best hero, he's the best fighter, he's the one who's destined to win the battle against Troy. But if you've listened to Epic, you know that while Odysseus is a good fighter, and he definitely shows his abilities in the ending, in hand-to-hand, there are plenty that could beat him. But his mind is what makes him the best. After Achilles dies in the siege of Troy, Odysseus takes over, which is where Epic the Musical starts, with that very first song being the Trojan Horse. In the Odyssey, Homer also refers to Odysseus as the best of the Greeks, or the Aristos Achaeon. His wit and intelligence are what lead the Greeks to victory in the end, and for Epic, the beginning. But let's get back to Penelope in the challenge. Feasibly, there's no way for her to know that Odysseus earned this title at war. It's been 20 years, and she has no idea what he's gone through. So in her mind, it's simply a distraction, a way to get the suitors to agree to the challenge and accept her reason for effectively changing her tune after all of these years of refusing to pay them no mind when it comes to marriage. In that regard, this line is a nod from Mr. Rivera Herons to this idea of the best of the Greeks. It's the only time it's mentioned in the entire musical. It's a reoccurring theme in almost any interpretation you get of Greek mythology, because so much of it was oral tradition or plays that were passed down, of there being this agreement between the audience and the narrator, or the audience and the author. The audience knows what's happening. When we tell the story of Orpheus and Eurydice, like in Hades Town, we know Orpheus turns around in the end. Spoiler alert, I guess. But Orpheus doesn't. And so in the retelling of that story over and over again, it's a known fact. In this regard, we know that in the end, Odysseus gets back to Penelope, but Penelope doesn't know that. So for this line, Mr. Rivera Herons is that author to us. He's doing that nod to the audience of, yeah, he's back. He's the best of the Greeks. Penelope's saying this, and it has that double meaning for her, but she doesn't even know it yet. In that same thought then, Devin and I have gone back and forth on this other explanation or idea. Did Penelope actually know that Odysseus had returned? Here, it's important to note that in mythology in general, especially mythology that has a deep oral retelling tradition, it changes and adapts. So there is no true canon version of this story. What might be accurate in the Riordan verse is going to be different from Epic, it's going to be different from Hades Town, and it's going to be different in the Madeline Miller books. But at this point, there is no true story. So while in Homer's Odyssey, Penelope meets a disguised Odysseus, where he's pretending to be a beggar in the palace before he strings the bow and disposes of the suitors. That doesn't happen in Epic, or at least we don't see it in the music that we have so far for Epic. But Penelope is smart and knows that something is going to happen. She saw the storm that takes place between the battle of Poseidon and Odysseus, hence why she started the challenge when she does. She has another line saying that, "Is it time for the challenge that I've arranged?" And even as she knows that none of them will successfully complete this task of stringing Odysseus's bow, she has to try. So have you guys listened to Epic the Musical, and would you be interested in seeing some more videos covering topics like these that branch out a little bit into the world of Greek mythology adaptations? We'd love to hear what you think below. In all seriousness, if you haven't listened to Epic, you really should. As always, demigods, stay safe, respect your host, and we'll see you in the next one.